Welcome to the Goddard Report. Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Sharon Noble, Director of the BC Coalition to Stop Smart Meters. Welcome to the show, Sharon.
Good afternoon, Jim.
So, Sharon, you have sent a registered mail package to the minister in charge of BC Hydro. Tell us about it.
What I've done is I have alerted Bill Bennett to the fact that there is testimony in a lawsuit in Texas. It's sworn testimony under oath that says that fires in Houston by CenterPoint Energy, which uses the Itron open-way meter, the very same model we have, fires have occurred, and they say that there have been so many fires and burned meters that they have pallets sitting in their storeroom of burned meters. The linesmen were warning CenterPoint and the utility companies about these burned meters, and the utility company denied it. The person got fired for making such a stink about it. One of his problems was that he was concerned, he was the head of the union, and he was concerned that his workers were going to be injured, that these meters could explode, could burn, and hurt the union members. And he got fired. And so this is what the lawsuit is about. He said that they have been warning people, they've been alerting the utility people about these fires, that the meters have design flaws. One of the flaws is because these things are being put into a meter base, just like ours probably, that hasn't been designed or tested or certified to hold one of these stupid smart meters, or a digital meter for that matter. And the blades of the smart meter don't fit properly into the base. They are too thin, leaving a gap, which causes arcing and leads to a fire. And I sent this to Mr. Bennett, along with several points that I've found through my investigation over the last couple of years that I think are irrefutable evidence that something major is wrong with this program and that these things should not be on our home.
Well, what if Mr. Bennett, the minister in charge of Hydro, says, I never got this thing?
Well, I had it sent. I just got home from taking it over, and it's being sent registered mail directly to him. And as well as I sent it email, and I'm copying all of the MLAs, including Christy Clark, and I'm going to be sending out to the media under a press release as soon as I get a chance to write it. This is very important. This is irrefutable evidence that these things are dangerous. Now, Hydro and Bill Bennett will continue to say there have been no fires here. There have been no failures here. And I know it's just plain not true. I have a disc from BC Hydro that I got through a Freedom of Information Act in which I asked for reports. How many faulty meters have you seen? And what were the reasons for the fault? I started asking almost a year ago, the beginning of July last year. At the end of January, they sent me, after many, many months of saying they didn't have this information, that there had been no failed meters, whatever, they sent me a disc toward the end of January that was illegible. I couldn't read it. It was so small, the printing was so small, plus the fact everything appeared to be redacted, all blacked out, but I couldn't tell because it was too small. I took it to every computer expert I could think of to see, can you enlarge this so that I can read it? And no one could. So finally in March I said, please send it in another format where I can read it. So about a month ago, almost a month ago, I finally got a disc that was 78 pages long, I believe. It has over 28,000 entries, but everything is blacked out. I can't tell what city it's in, what town it's in, when it happened. Everything is blacked out, and they're hiding behind the Freedom of Information. They say, I don't have a right to it because it will invade a third party's privacy. But the fact that there have been 27,000 failures, now granted, some of these may be that the meters weren't working, that they weren't measuring accurately, but some, very likely, are that they melted and burned. I have no way of knowing how many.
Have you talked to the Privacy Commissioner about this?
Yes, I have lodged a formal complaint, but it will take months, just as my formal complaints about the fact I can't get any information from Hydro about fire reports that say the fire was caused by failed electrical distribution equipment on the home. What electrical distribution on the home. What kind of equipment would this be? The only thing I can think of is the meter, and even that phony report by Len Garris, he said whenever you see electrical distribution equipment, it will refer to the meter. Well, I've got quite a few fires where they say the cause was electrical distribution equipment, and when I ask Hydro, they say they can't give it to me, freedom of information. So yes, I've lodged that complaint. I've lodged another complaint because they won't tell me how many insurance claims they've paid. But the insurance commissioner tells me that they've got a whole lineup, and it will be months before they can get to any of my complaints. But I think that the information that I've sent to Bill Bennett today is deserving of the public screaming. I mean, this information shows that our homes, our lives, our property are being put at risk by having these things on our home. And even if you don't have a home with a smart meter, if your neighbor does, in this dry condition, heavens, it wouldn't take much for several homes to get caught up in it. They're playing Russian roulette with our lives here.
Why do you think the government is so reluctant to acknowledge that all these other jurisdictions around the world are finding problems with them, but somehow BC's immune?
I think the problem is probably multifold. One is they don't want to admit that they made a mistake. Two, they've already spent probably, who knows how many billions of dollars on this thing. But I believe they could go back to ITRON just as Saskatchewan went to census and say, it's your problem. You take these meters off at your cost and give us our money back. These are bad products. They are unsafe products, and we don't want them. I don't think they'll do it. I think that their corporate buddies on ITRON's board are just too influential. I don't think they'll do it. So it's going to be up to us, the public. We've got to demand it. We have to. They are lying about the fires occurring. They're lying about the safety of these meters. And I don't know what else we can do. The evidence is so clear. I think there'll be rallies. I think there are going to be protest marches, and there should be. We should be standing outside Bill Bennett's office, both here in Victoria and in his constituency in East Kootenay. And we should be demanding, if he's not going to do something, then he should resign.
We'll have more with Sharon Noble right after this.
More and more people are looking to the internet for intelligent, riveting, and thought-provoking interviews. To advertise on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com, call 604-699-8600, 604-699-8600.
In Goddard we trust.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sharon Noble, director of the Coalition to Stop Smart Meters in BC. You said rallies, marches possible. How can one person like yourself organize something like that, or are you waiting for other people to say this is so outrageous that smart meters in every other jurisdiction around the world have been found to be a problem that can cause fires? Why can't we have some action in BC?
I need help. There's no two ways about it. I can't do it all by myself, but we have thousands of people in the coalition. These people need to get organized. They need to organize at the local level, and we need to spread the word to our friends and family. Many of the people with smart meters have no idea what they have on their home. We need to spread the word, and we need to organize, and we need to do it this year, right now. We can't wait for another 6 months or 8 months. We've got to do it now. We can't wait until another winter when Hydro starts turning off power on people because they can't afford to pay their legacy fees. We can't wait until winter comes when people are going to end up, using more electricity that they can't afford because these smart meters are so expensive and they seem to be increasing the electricity bill. We can't risk having more homes get burned and lives being put at risk. We've got to get rallies going now. If people want to contact me, I will give them contacts in their area. I have lists of people all over the province. We need some people to help organize it. If there are some organizers out there who want to get involved, let me know.
What's happening with your class action lawsuit?
Oh, nothing much. It's still going, until for the next 3 or 4 months. It's just kind of lingering there.
Now, is that a matter of the courts just don't have room to hear it, or are you still gathering evidence?
No, it's the courts. The judge, because Hydro wants 5 days so that they can provide their evidence, even though we're not fighting it on the basis of health. They want to bring an exponent again to, which is ridiculous. Exponent with Fortis said some of the most ridiculous things and persuaded the BCUC to ignore scientific evidence. So Hydro's brought Exponent in again, and they want to argue that these things aren't safe, that radiation is just fine, despite even what the Parliament said in their report last week. They want people to think that these are perfectly safe. So we're arguing our Charter rights. We're not arguing, about the dangers. We're saying we have a right not to have something that we believe is dangerous to be put on our home. And there's evidence galore that we have reason for major concerns about this radiation. So that's why we can't move forward, because Hydro wants 5 days.
And do you think they've done that deliberately because they know it's very hard to find 5 days in civil court?
I don't know. I can't explain why Hydro does some of these things. I attribute, many things to Hydro because I don't trust them further than I could throw them. They've lied to us so often. As a matter of fact, just in a newspaper article in Port Alberni just last week, Ted Olenek of BC Hydro is out there with the same lies that he was saying 3 years ago, that there are only a few data signals each day, that there's no radiation, that everything is perfectly safe, that these things have been certified safe, which is not true. So they're still out there with their very same lies. So, no, I don't know why Hydro's doing it, but I'm sure it's not for any reason that we would approve of.
Now, you also told me about an article that's in Victoria's main newspaper.
Yeah, today, as a matter of fact, there was an editorial it was headed something like, Good Science. Let me see if I can find it. Good Science, not lobbying. I guess I took it upstairs. But the essence of the reason for the article was the fact that so many agencies, government agencies, and other agencies are ignoring science on many regards. And they were talking specifically about climate change, but they also talked about electromagnetic radiation from wireless devices. And what I thought was particularly interesting is that the editor who wrote this uses his example, saying that, there's no, electromagnetic radiation is talked about. People are concerned about their cell phones, but the World Health Organization says that there's no proof of harm. I wrote back to him and said, this is yet another example of industry's influence. Industry has deep pockets into just about everything from climate change to pharmaceuticals and into wireless devices. The World Health Organization has kept that article on its website, as has Perry Kendall, as has the Cancer Society, despite the fact that 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago, its own agency, the International Agency for Research on Cancer, IARC, classified radiation from wireless devices as a 2B, as a possible human carcinogen. And the reason it was only classified that way was because they didn't know the cause. They didn't believe there were any studies showing cause. So why did they leave that on their website? Except to misinform and to twist. And this is exactly how industry does it. The World Health Organization has been infiltrated by industrial people for many years. One of them was Michael Rapaccioli, who worked on one of their EMF, which is electromagnetic fields panels. And he was receiving money, unbeknownst to anybody, through an Australian hospital. He received $25 million from the telecom industry to twist the information. This is how they work, and this is what they've done in the World Health Organization for years. And I'm sure that there are other organizations that are receiving money that we normally should be able to trust, perhaps like the cancer societies. I can't say that they're receiving money. All I know is that they are providing the same misleading and wrong information that the World Health Organization is providing.
Does it scare you that the Trans-Pacific Partnership Treaty that they're talking about passing right now would ban a country or a municipality, any form of government, from enacting legislation that would reduce a company's profits?
Of course it does. Of course it does.
And this has all been done in top secret, by the way. That's why nobody's heard about it. In other words, why bother electing a government? Because 3 corporate lawyers in a tribunal will decide whether your law has harmed a company or not.
Well, as I understand it, there are already some laws on the book that can cause problems if you cause a foreign company to lose money because of something that is done in your country. It's horrible. Yes, they will be able to sell us anything. without telling us the truth. We won't have a right to refuse it. There are so many things going on here, Jim, that just don't make any sense in a democracy. Everything is for money. They don't care. They don't care that these things are harming our children and our future children. They don't care that people are being made sick or being made poor by these things. Anything for the bottom line of the corporation. And this is why it's so insidious with these smart meters. Smart meters are just a symbol of so much else that is wrong. We can't allow a precedent to be set, whether it's through the trade arrangements or through the buddy-buddy arrangements with the corporations, having all their friends on the boards. It's all insidious and it's all wrong.
Well, to show what corporations will do, Indonesia had a law banning smoking for children and advertising, and the major tobacco companies went to the World Trade Organization and said, well, that's restricting our profits.
And sued them.
And so now in Indonesia...
They sued the government.
Right, and that's why now we have in Indonesia 2-year-old children who are addicted to cigarettes.
Yep.
Cartoon shows that promote cigarettes.
It's happened in so many countries around the world. These bullies have gone to these countries who are trying to protect their citizens, and they've sued them. Brazil and all sorts of small little tiny countries, they've sued them for billions of dollars, knowing they can't afford it, and they can't afford to fight it. It's horrible. Just horrible.
Sharon, I see the city of Adelaide, Australia will pay its citizens to get off the grid. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. Isn't that amazing? They're subsidizing both batteries and sun panels or solar panels. They realize that getting off the grid, the electricity grid, will save the environment. And they also realize it's much, much more secure than being on a wireless grid. It's amazing. I think we're going to see more of this sort of thing happening. Around the world, Germany, for instance, has so many solar panels, and many of the people there, many of the companies are completely off the grid now. We should be looking at it, and although I heard a rumor, I haven't seen it, but I heard a rumor that Canada is considering putting very high tariffs on solar panels that are made outside Canada. And as far as I know, Canada doesn't have anyone who's manufacturing solar panels yet.
It's China that makes them.
Yeah, and they were putting in something, what I heard was something like a 200% tariff.
Well, who are they protecting if nobody in Canada makes it?
Well, they're protecting the utility companies, the gas companies, the coal companies. No, we do not have very many utility companies that are truly green. Most of them, to some extent, use coal or gas, and they're powerful companies. They don't want us to get off the grid. And the utility companies, I've been sending out a lot of articles about, the pressure that utility companies are putting on individuals who are trying to go off the grid. In some places, they're charging them, just because they're off the grid. You've got to pay because you're off the grid. The utility companies will lose a lot of money. They're losing a lot of customers, both through their strong-armed tactics like Hydro and Fortis are using, but also because people are concerned about the environment. And as that's happening, companies like Hydro are going to go bankrupt. Hydro already is so far in debt because of the crazy things that this government has done, and it's going to be even more in debt with decisions like Site C, to build dams that we don't need. Just imagine what the rates will be as more people go off the grid. The rates will be astronomical, and then more people will go off the grid, which will raise the rates even more. It's a vicious cycle. Those poor people who don't have enough money to buy solar panels or hopefully wind trees soon and to generate their own power, it will be those people who will suffer the most. Jim, have we talked about something that's very interesting that's going on? This gentleman in Vancouver who's being sued by Hydro?
No, we haven't.
Mr. Miro Jakanen has 2 very large apartment buildings, each with 80 units or more. And for the last 3 years, he has been asking BC Hydro to provide him with proof that these meters are safe. 1, that they won't burn. 2, that the radio frequency radiation will not harm his tenants. And 3, that the meters are accurate and that his tenants will not end up paying more. And Hydro has refused. And for 3 years he's been asking for Hydro to do it. For 3 years Hydro has refused, And now Hydro has taken Mr. Jackanen to court, suing him because he refuses access to get his smart meters put in.
But they won't give him any information.
No. They will not. And all he's asking is for proof that they're safe. That is a responsible landlord and a responsible owner, if you ask me. These are huge buildings. If a fire starts in that building, how are the people going to get out? Also, if he's got 80 smart meters in electrical rooms, imagine the radiation level for those people living near those electrical rooms. He has every right to be concerned, and Hydro has refused.
And you pointed out the last time we talked, Sharon, that if those smart meters are near a propane tank or natural gas lines, they could spark those into fire as well.
Yes, in Quebec, Quebec Hydro has been told that they must move smart meters that are near any permanent propane tank. If they can't move the meters, or if the tank can't be moved, then they have to turn off the remote disconnect switch, because the remote disconnect switch is the thing that was found in Saskatchewan to start most of the fires. They spark, and these can come off and on apparently at various times over which you have no control. And so Quebec Hydro has said, move the meters away from these propane tanks. On June 4th, I wrote to BC Hydro and to Bill Bennett and asked what they were going to do. I told them about what Quebec Hydro was being told to do, and I asked them what they were going to do, and I also suggested that propane tanks are not the only things we should be worried about. Many of these meters are being put in garages where people store paints and cleaning liquids and things like that. They are in sawmills with sawdust. They are all over near all sorts of flammable things. They are on wooden buildings and homes with cedar shakes and things like this. Things that could easily burn. No response. Over 3 weeks ago, no response. This shows you that these people are just ignoring the fact that these things are a problem. They will not respond. They hope that they can just wear us out and we're going to go away. Even though we've been fighting this for 5 years, now they should know we're not prepared to go away.
If the government does ignore registered mail that points out there are hazards with this, well, what can you do after that?
It's going to be up to all of us. It's going to, as I said before, we have to get organized. We have to take this to the media. Like you, we have to spread the word, Jim. People like you have to spread the word. Everyone has to talk to their neighbors and their families about this. We have to take it to the streets. Now,
what are the odds of global television running this story when their weatherman does ads for Hydro?
You never know. You never know. It's difficult, Jim, because most of the newspapers are owned by telecommunications companies. Hydro spends huge bucks in advertising. It's very difficult for us to get anything out there. But it comes to a point where public safety is concerned, where I think somebody's going to take notice of this. We need to have some, freelance journalists like yourself. We need to have some brave people go out there and make it public. This is being hidden, and we cannot just sit here and let it be hidden. I'm not going to wait until my neighbor's house catches on fire and I burn up.
I hope that doesn't come to that point.
It could. It could come to that for any of us. Look out your window. I don't know about you, but I've got a lot of land around my home that is very dry. It's very capable of burning. If my neighbor's house catches on fire, it's probably, it's maybe 100 feet away from me. I don't know. I've never marked it off, but, how long would it take for a fire to cover that territory with the dry grass in between us? I don't think very long.
And of course, here in BC, we're expecting record high temperatures over the weekend, and we haven't had very much rain in the last 2 months.
And a smart meter, you'll remember, has a lithium metal battery in it. How many of these smart meters are sitting in this hot summer sun? How many of these meters are going to melt and burn, overheat? How many of those batteries are going to explode? I don't know. All I can say is I have concerns about this. It's happening everywhere else. It's happened in Texas, and it's happening here. I've got records. Jim, part of the information that I gave Bill Bennett was that nobody is tracking this. They have made sure that the BC Utilities Commission will not do anything about it. The fire commissioner is not getting complete reports. Many of the reports I've asked for have not been filed by the fire departments, even though the fires occurred more than 2 years ago. And out of the many, I don't know how many fire reports I've requested, but I added them up, and of the 100 that I think have been answered, 50% of them gave us the cause undetermined. We don't know what is happening here. And even some of those where they said that the cause was electrical distribution equipment, Hydro won't tell us what the problem is. No one's investigating the smart meter. As soon as the smart meter burns, they send it straight to Itron. Nobody here is investigating the cause for the meter failure. I was told out of those 28,000 failed meters, they had no reason for them. They don't investigate them. They just return them to Itron and ask for a replacement.
Well, wasn't it California where they said, yes, these meters may cause fires, but we still approve them anyway?
No, well, it was in Saskatchewan, I think, that you're talking about. The odd thing in Saskatchewan was after 8 failures, not fires, failures, where the meters overheated and melted and burned, perhaps darkened the side of the home, they recalled the meters and they stopped the program. Then they had UL certify these very same meters, the same census meters that don't have a lithium battery. They asked them to certify them. They did. They certified them as safe, but yet these meters are still burning. That means to me that the standards are not good enough, that the standards have not been brought up to date to be able to handle smart meters, because it doesn't make any sense. If something's safe, why is it burning?
Sharon, maybe again tell people the website they can go to get more information on this.
We have 2 websites, Jim. One is www.stopsmartmetersbc.com, and the other one is www.citizensforsafetechnology.org. And if anyone wants to join the lawsuit or read about the lawsuit, they want to join the class action, the information is on the citizensforsafetechnology.org website.
Sharon, good luck.
Thank you very much, Jim. I appreciate it.
My guest has been Sharon Noble, Director of the Coalition to Stop Smart Meters in BC. You're listening to the Goddard Report on TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Find us on Twitter at TalkDigitalNet. Our popular YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Comments about the show can be sent to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard.
Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. The Goddard Report is available online and mobile at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. The Goddard Report is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.